I think I just played one of my favorite matches in Marvel Rivals Competitive and I have to talk to you about it. Now, one thing I want to point out is the footage that you will be seeing is kind of a bit messy. Not only is it messy because the footage of it is really bad quality, and the main reason for that is I wasn't actually originally recording this, but I decided to save the footage on my PlayStation 5, which doesn't record in like 4K or super high definition, and the bitrate is really bad. But then on top of that, to get this gameplay to you, I am recording it on OBS, which is probably just going to compress it even more. But I'm gonna try to splice it with as much as possible of the replay from different angles just to get a different perspective so it doesn't look as bad as it does. So I really do want to apologize about that. And also another thing is this match is just pure chaos. It goes from messy, where our team is just doing abysmal, to the enemy team being super cocky and way too confident, to then, well, you're just gonna have to see how this all plays out. So starting things off, I'm gonna get right into the bans. This was definitely the most interesting one. We decided to go for the 2 dives that I personally hate, or at least just one of them is one of the worst things for any healer in the match, and I wasn't forced to play as a healer in this game, but I just know from personal experience I want my healers to have as best of a time as possible, and that was of course Black Panther. But we also went for magic. As for the enemies, this is where it gets kind of interesting. They decided to ban Spider-Man, who is unfortunately like one of my best DPSs. I know it's like, you know, I'm a disgusting person, but it's Spider-Man. Who doesn't love Spider-Man? And then Doctor Strange. The fascinating thing with this is 2 people on our team wanted to actually go Doctor Strange, and there were 2 lords, and now they were both forced not to play this character, which I think is where the match really flipped over and actually became what it was. So starting things off, I decided to go Star-Lord, and I gotta point out, I am not saying that I was a person that did incredibly well in this match. If anything, I'm a person who was probably the messiest with its picks, and I couldn't really decide who to go. There was another person on our team who kind of went through a similar thing, but my other DPS who I like to play, which is Bucky, was already taken by another DPS, so I was forced to play Star-Lord or a DPS that I just didn't know if it would work very well for the situation. On the enemy team, they also had quite the team up. They had a Captain America and a Storm, which were definitely our biggest problem, mainly because we were actually gonna ban a Storm, which was one of the first times where I think it would have worked out extremely well for us, because Vinci DB is a very good Storm and Professor Peppy is a very good Captain America. Whenever you stumble upon a very good Captain America in your match, my god, you will have the experience of a lifetime, and it's not a good experience. We don't actually run into a lot of Captain Americas on our team whenever we play, because I play in a stack, but whenever we do, oh, it's amazing. But whenever we go up against a Captain America, it's the most miserable thing ever. Their push was very good, and I decided to quickly switch over to Hela just to see if perhaps the Hela switch will be the better option, to see if I could be able to pick off some of the healers in the back, but mainly that Storm, since of course it's a flyer, and any flying character is easily taken out with the correct DPS on the opposition. But unfortunately, this wasn't going very well. Now, thankfully, I was playing with one of the tanks on our team who was willing to switch off of the tank to go Squirrel Girl, which is a way better option for the rest of this match, because Squirrel Girls are also a bit of a problem if used correctly, and I decided to go the Thing. Now, this wasn't going very well. The change didn't help us all that much. If anything, it just kind of caused us to not cooperate very well, and one of our DPSs started complaining about healers. But one of the other things that really annoyed me and annoyed everybody clearly on the team was one person called Sofia Vergara on the enemy team was being a bit too cocky, like way too cocky, and constantly telling us to surrender. Well, this was one of the first times that they said to surrender in this awful pixelated thing that you can see. But also on top of this, they were like, just kill the Storm, like telling us exactly what to do, because the Storm was taking us out with the ults. But they were working so well, their comp was doing so well on the push, that unfortunately we just weren't able to get out of it, and we were struggling a lot to figure out what could work. Now, I was kind of up to here, which you can't see, with the whole claim of our DPS complaining about healers, because I also play with one of the healers, and I play as a healer myself. Healing can be a problem, but it can only be a problem in certain scenarios, not in a scenario where everyone is getting absolutely destroyed. Not only are the healers getting taken out very fast, but then everybody is just getting their ass handed to them, and unfortunately you are just unable to make a very good push or a very good defense. So I had to go in and try to complain at the DPS, which was one of the things that I haven't done in forever. I've never stumbled upon a person in game chat who complains about healers and they are DPS. It's one of the most frustrating things that can happen. I understand DPS need heals. I've played DPS, but sometimes you can't just find a person to blame, especially if you're going 0 and 5. Now, thankfully, this was a very good pep talk that I gave them, even though it might have been a bit too harsh, and that is because they decided to go Wanda. I decided to go the Thing. We had a Magneto, Squirrel Girl, and then of course our incredible 2 healers, because they were were doing a very good job at healing. So much so that I think the Sioux appreciated me giving out to the person, that they were healing me like crazy in one of our first pushes, which I gotta talk about this, it wasn't going very good. Like, this first push was really bad, to the point where we even got into overtime, where we kind of locked in and started picking them off one by one. Thankfully, our Wanda was actually doing very good, our Magneto was very good, and of course my other two teammates were as good as always.
Yes.
Oh, nice push from the Sioux.
Got
No,
Storm.
no, kill the cap, kill the cap. No.
Got Cap.
Are you kidding me? We were literally here.
Yes.
Also, another thing I forgot to mention, Sophia said to surrender before the match started, which is funny because their Bruce Obama teammate, who is a healer, said no. I think they were also just as sick of that person constantly saying to surrender as much as we were. One of the main things that we started to do was concentrate on the Captain America and trapping him with the Squirrel Girl ability that she has, mainly because he was definitely the most annoying thing that always prevented us from pushing the point whenever he contested it, especially since this is convoy. Anytime that the convoy is touched, of course you can't push it, so that became a very big problem, and thankfully we were able to team up together, me as the Thing, who I was able to kind of pick off some people here and there, and I was kind of proud of myself in some areas, but also because we had a really good DPS team up, which was definitely the way to go. Now, looking at our stats really quick at this point, we were doing really bad. Thankfully we made the first point and moved on to the second one pretty easily until we got, of course, stopped, but we were able to push through. I did make a bit of a mistake and I decided to push a Luna by myself. Not only did I die, but everyone else died on the team and they aced us. This was looking very bleak. It wasn't looking very good. Honestly, this was the point where I wasn't giving up, but I was kind of like, damn, we had such a good push. We fought back very well. I was actually pretty proud of everybody. But that wasn't it, ladies and gentlemen, because we came back and we were able to clear them out, which was very good. Even though we were struggling with time, we pushed on and got the second point. When we got this point, Sophia once again decided to say surrender. At this stage, I don't even know if they were just being cocky or if they were just messing with us, because it's like, it wasn't getting to anybody where it was more like, oh no, we're doing super bad. If anything, it was getting to everybody to be more like, we really have to win this match now. We really have to win this match now. We can't have this person win. And these kind of motivational situations are honestly some of the best things ever. Sometimes my teammates, unfortunately, are the ones that say to the enemies, where they're like, you know, oh, you suck, and then the enemies have to pull up and be like, you sure about that, buddy? Or sometimes it works vice versa, where the enemies say that to us and we pull up and we're like, are you sure about that, buddy? Because we had an incredible third push. Even though it did of course go bad, it will always go bad, but we were able to get off some picks, and then we got to a point where it was overtime. It was ult galore. Wanda got the Luna with her ult, Squirrel Girl got Bucky with her ult, I got Captain America. We stopped the Storm after her ult. Then I decided to push up into their spawn as the Thing, which is some of my favorite things to do, to try to distract them. If I'm the distraction, they can push the convoy or deal with whoever's on the point, which unfortunately it was Captain America, so I decided to just solo ult him, which we were able to take him out. And even though it was a really bad one, we still pushed it and got the third point, which unfortunately means it is 3-3. They have way too much time for their push and we don't have any time for our push, or at least 1 minute. But honestly, sometimes these 1 minutes are the best minutes to have, and here is where stuff got really crazy. We had a really good push. Even though there was dying, and a lot of dying at that, we still managed to push and push and push, so much so that we even made them fall back after taking out some of their tanks and some of their healers and some of their DPS. They just started panicking. We got the first point, then we pushed on to the second point, which went really bad at one stage. Like, a lot of us died, but our healers, our incredible healers, and even our incredible just overall team, I gotta give it to everybody, were able to hold that convoy and stay on that point without dying.
No, she was so low. No,
I'm dead.
no.
Come on. Sue has her ult. Sue. Is she there?
Yeah.
Yes. I almost have my ult if I can do a bit.
No, 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 no. I'm dead. No, I got grabbed by Penny. I almost got their Luna. I was like 1 HP. No. Michael, Michael, Michael. Yes. Yes.
Yes!
You got 2 of them.
Storm's head.
Protect her if you can.
Yes, we got Penny. Put
was so
in the seat, yeah.
Storm is definitely going to be ulting soon. I'm trying to concentrate her. Got her. Got her.
Yes!
No, Penny's back.
On top of all of this, we were then able to push it through that second point and get 5 points, which is a big push with just overtime. Constantly staying on it and trying not to die. It was going really good. I did get to a cocky point where I decided to push a Penny by myself and I almost died, but at the end of the day, it wasn't the worst thing, and the only thing that stopped us from completely pushing that point was a Bucky ulting us all. Sue and Wanda were on point with a Sue ult. Everybody was dead, and unfortunately it takes forever to respawn when you're in overtime, and then unfortunately we just lost the point before we were able to push it up to 6 points. Enemies, you know, have a lot of time on their hands, but ladies and gentlemen, we were locked in. Unfortunately, it didn't go incredible. We weren't able to hold them just as well as they have been able to hold us, not until I decided to switch to Penny off of the Thing. Now I mained the Thing and Penny as my main 2 tanks, which I know Penny is considered to be like one of the worst tanks or whatever, situational, and that's exactly true. She is situational, and those bombs, mwah, they are so good just to deal some damage on enemies so that your other teammates can pick them off. And then we got this building where we struggled earlier with that ace and my deaths and everybody's deaths and struggling to push on from here. The thing is, the enemies just couldn't push out of here because we were simply working better, and we managed to get them not only to overtime, push them off of the point even though not all of them were dead, and the last person that could potentially touch the point, as beautiful as it is, was Sofia Vergara, who was the person who constantly kept on telling us to surrender. Kind of comes full circle. It's kind of crazy if I'll be honest. At the end of the day, who got the MVP? The person who complained about healers. Who knows? Maybe healers started concentrating them, or it was just simply because they made the correct switch. Gotta give a huge shout out to the healers, of course, and on top of all that, our tank and the DPS, because without this team, we wouldn't have been able to win it. And I know it might just seem like a normal win for anyone, but I was so happy that we were able to take down a person who's just so confident, so confident themselves that they are willing to tell you to surrender at the start of the match just because you have a bad beginning. The amount of times this has happened to me where I don't say cocky stuff, but I'm like, wow, we were able to push so well. This is definitely our match. The enemies just make the correct switches and lock in. Now, honestly, quickly looking at Sofia's history, maybe they should have been the ones that surrendered in their past matches before the match they played with us, because it doesn't look very good for them. Overall, GG to both sides. Unfortunately, we were just simply better. And yeah, that was about it.